Hello, you're watching a very special edition on Hornbill TV. The third edition of the Northeast Games that started on the 18th of March culminated yesterday with our neighboring state, Manipur, coming out in the glory, bagging the first place with 32 gold medals with an accumulative medal tally of 78, and Nagaland too coming at second with 31 gold and a medal tally of 81. But today it's about participation and being there, and now we have a very special guest who has made it all happen. A guest that all Northeastern participants of these games and of the states in these and the past two games can give a big thank you. Today we have Ibungochoubi, Joint Secretary of the Manipur Olympic Association and also the General Secretary of the Northeast Indigenous Peoples Forum. He is also the Executive Editor of Manipur Mail, and he is here with us on Hornbill TV. So today we'll have a definitive talk as to what sports is for the Northeast region, and especially what the Northeast Games and the editions mean for all the athletes of the Northeast. So thank you so much for joining us on Hornbill TV, and thank you for giving us your precious time. First of all, congratulations, sir. You are the Deputy Chef de Mission of the Manipur team, and now they have actually clinched glory by winning the third edition. So, sir, what is your expression and how are you feeling that Manipur has actually come out glorious, sir?
Thank you, Vito, for inviting me to the Hornbill television. It was one of the most exciting, I must congratulate, in fact, say my first gratitude to the Nagaland Olympic Association for having accepted to host the third edition for the Northeast. Earlier it used to be called Northeast Olympic Games. Very unfortunately, or I must say, the very word Olympic was it was not permitted in some parts of the country to be usually or randomly used. So the Northeast Olympic Association now rechristened as Northeast Sports Association. In fact, the third edition, it became Northeast Sports Association from Northeast Olympic Association. Then from the Northeast Olympic Games, it is now Northeast Games. I think it's okay. It is a very, very interesting change of name. I must first say that it was a wonderful experience. I was very happy because children from all over the states, including Sikkim, whenever you say Northeast, it is always 7. Yes. But our founder members of the Northeast Sports Association, they found it important to have all the 8 states. And it is very fortunate for the children today, because the torch bearers who founded this Northeast Sports Association just before the COVID pandemic, they sat together. The very premise of having this association is to offer a platform collectively and in some way groom young talents, offer an opportunity so that they come together. There are many, many ways how we can look at it as senior members of the association. First, I would say that it is important for the entire Northeastern state to come together, to collaborate, as to see what are the talents, what are the areas we can groom our children. I always say that if you can play volleyball in your own locality, it is an excitement, because you need good health for our children. However, if you look at medal, our height does not permit. We might be very good basketball players in our own school, colleges. From that perspective, in general health, we should have all the sports for the general health, the societal responsibility. At the same time, we should also look at national games, the Asian Games, the Olympics. I think this was the premise. The program was very well organized, notwithstanding the fact that the Code of Conduct has come in between. It did not hamper in any kind of administration in kind of the game. It went on very smoothly, and I would say, from my point of view, give 100%. In fact, I can very generously say I can give you 200 out of 100. I'm very happy, and I must say my thank you to the government, the present government, led by Mr. Rio, and the wonderful team by the Secretary General, Mr. Abu Mehta. They have done extremely well to ensure that our children have fun, enjoy the game, and become friends. I think this is how I would look at it.
All right, sir, that was such a nice review of the whole games. But also, sir, you were basically part of all the games. In fact, like you stated, in fact, it was actually called the Northeast Olympic Games. So the first edition happened in Manipur, the second edition happened in Meghalaya, the third edition happened in Nagaland. So, sir, like when you are part of this whole organization, or rather when you have the vision, so what's your intention behind holding something like the Northeast Games, and what was the idea behind holding, like getting all the 8 Northeastern states together so that the children or the youths of these 8 Northeastern states come and take part in a greater competition? So what was the ideas?
If I recall, the very formation of the Northeast Olympic Association, though I was not a part of the beginning, I came into the existence when the first Northeast Games happened in Manipur. That was in 2018.
Okay.
All the states, including Assam, Nagaland, Meghalaya, Mizoram, Arunachal Pradesh, Tripura, all the states, they feel that Manipur is some kind of a powerhouse.
Yes.
And they wanted the Manipur Olympic Association to lead in some way where our children all together can be groomed. And I think resource sharing was one of my perspectives. Say, for example, Nagaland may not have certain facility, whereas Assam has almost 90 to 80% of infrastructure in Assam is wonderful. The government has invested a huge amount in the infrastructure, and in Manipur, the spirit of the young people, they're very high. And similarly, if you organize, say for example, this is a game of, I think in Manipur we had only 12 events, 12 disciplines when we started in 2018, and with a very limited resource. I think 2018, I think only 12 sports, 12 disciplines. In Meghalaya in 2022, there were 18.
Okay.
In Nagaland, they were supposed to be 16. Now, the cricket was written off because of the permission which was not granted from BCCI. So there were 15 disciplines. Vito, what I would look at is collaboration is very important for the Northeast.
Okay.
We have to collaborate. I think this is the wisdom of the founder members of the Association of the Northeast. Manipur might have the knowledge. It might not have the infrastructure. So, for example, if you have an athletics Northeast championship, you have the best of facility in Assam.
Yes.
All the people would come together. There are many, many good trainers, good coaches, or in some way, if you have boxing, we can have boxing in Manipur. We can have wushu in Manipur. And all the children from all over the state, they will actually feel wushu, and it can be collaborated. I remember in Goa, the boys and girls from Arunachal, they were extremely, they were performing extremely well in the contact sports.
Okay.
And I'm so happy that some of our boys went to Arunachal and they started training young boys and girls. And the speed, at which speed they picked up the sport, they even defeated Manipur. I mean, we were so happy. And unless we compete, we will never grow. I think that is a perspective that our founder members thought, that we should have a strong body of all the associations in Northeast, concentrate, and of course the present president of the Northeast Association, he himself is a sports person. In his words, he says, he once spoke, the health of our children today in the Northeast is in danger. And if you continue to have sports, school, college, university, the good health perspective is very important. If you have good health, you will have a healthy mind.
Yes.
And it is important for our children to have good health. And this is how, as today, as a senior citizen, I would like our children to be healthy. So organizing events, organizing sports, and particularly these regular sports in Northeast will certainly ensure good health of our children, and good health will ensure good thinking. And this is how we can become leader, not leader in the sense of the country, but our children can be a global leader in many perspectives, whether it's science, technology, IT, anything. But if they're healthy, I think this is one perspective that our policymakers and government should know. They should not be afraid of spending, because if you look at the budget in Nagaland, how much they spend, people will say it's useless. But the impact of the children, now that is also happiness, you know.
So you just brought out a very important fact, or rather a very inclusive fact about the Northeast. You talked about how Arunachal Pradesh people started training their kids and they won Manipur in contact sports.
Yeah.
So in this Northeast games, there were games like Sepak Takraw, there were games like Pencak Silat, there were games like Wushu. Now, so if you look at the normal global Indian context, games for football there's Santosh Trophy, for cricket there's Ranji Trophy.
Yes.
So, sir, do you think like with the organizing of such events to give ample avenue to people who participate in Wushu or Pencak Silat or Sepak Takraw, so do you think the global stature increases, and also is this one of the aims behind actually formulating the Northeast Games, sir?
I would understand from one perspective of having our Northeast Sports Association.
Right.
First, the collective and collaborative unity of the Northeast, of our children coming together. And it is not only the sports, it is the fraternity.
Okay,
I think this is what I personally feel. We seem quite close but far away from relationship. So I think if the Northeast Games can bring our children together, I think this would be one of the greatest achievements. Whether they play, whether they fight, whether they compete, first bringing them together at a common platform, this should be politically understood as a sports person. This is what I personally, at this very hour, if you look at the rest of the country, where we belong to a different stock.
Yes.
However you want to be speaking Hindi or English, but the fact is we belong to a different stock. And understanding each other for a collective and a common cause to be united through sports, I think it is very important. And when we know our own strength, say if you look at the national games in Goa, I think Manipur was the 8th, and every thing, we're competing. And even some of our boys are playing in the services. So I was doing a data collection, during the Gujarat also, and then 36 and 37 national games. When I was in Goa, we became the 8th position. But as I was looking at the medal winners, those boys playing for services, I think about 10 to 15 goals were from Manipur.
Okay.
I mean, what I'm saying is, and in every field, every sport, and people coming from different states, we are happy that our boys have become universal from that perspective. So if I was saying that if all these boys came to Manipur and played, we would have been the champion. There is talent, and Nagaland, I believe, because of the natural terrain, as I was saying, yesterday, in fact, I was saying that if you sit on the tallest hill of Kohima, if you throw a stone, it will land in Manipur. It is so near. Yet, why is the sports habit is less in Nagaland, or why is the spirit of sports is more in Manipur? I think this is also one issue that the administration, the society, the communities have to understand. And from that's why I was appreciating the government of Nagaland, that this, I think there was some, in fact it was 52 goals for Manipur and 48 for Nagaland. Nagaland was second. They just came across, they ran a little bit more than Assam. In Gujarat, in Gujarat national games, I think Nagaland was nil.
Yes.
I think so. Yeah. But in Goa, I think there were 5-6 medals.
Yes.
It's a huge achievement. So from that perspective, if at all, the technical experts or the people coming from Manipur train the young boys and girls from Nagaland, I don't think nobody is less or nobody is stronger. It is just a parallel. That is just the intensity of work that has to be, given focus on.
So now that you witnessed the third edition of the Northeast Games and talking in Nagaland in particular and the Northeast in general, so you've seen the performances of our youths, participants of various states of the Northeast, from Sikkim to Mizoram to Arunachal. So you've seen a large intent, you've seen so many players who are interested in contact sports. Sir.
Yes.
Now, so do you think that the mainstream sports in India, basically which is football and kabaddi and cricket, do you think that if the Northeast starts focusing on sports like this, do you think that the Northeast aspirants or rather the Northeast athletes get more avenues and opportunities? Do you believe that?
We have to look at contact sports, particularly at the lighter weight.
Okay,
our height, our weight. Say, for example, if you look at Mary Kom
yes.
or Sarita, we are at the lighter weight. And even in weightlifting,
yes.
If you even
Mirabai
look at
Chanu.
Mirabai or even Kunjarani, if we train our children from this perspective, we cannot look at 80 kilo or 90 kilo at the global level because we won't be competing on that level. So I think it would be for the sports experts, very sports experts who have seen it. We should be able to identify our children and at what level they can perform, because you can't expect somebody to perform beyond his capacity or her capacity.
Exactly.
Even football, if you look at all the best football players in the world, even if you look at Maradona, I think it was 5'6" or 5'7", Pele, from that perspective.
Lionel Messi too is 5'6".
We can still do it. We can still do it in the other areas. But I think for the Northeast today, my humble suggestion would be we focus sports as general health for all, because every child playing a game today gives self-confidence, whether at the school level or the college level. It is not a wasted investment. This is what our administration, this is what our politicians should know. It is an investment, huge investment, because our future is our children. They should be healthy. And second is those who would like to excel.
Yes.
And excel at the state level, because we have to compete among ourselves, and then at the national level. And at what national level, whether it is, and then again in the Asian Games. And finally, we have to look at the Olympics. So what are the areas that we should be focusing for medal? If you have a boy or a girl who wins one Olympic medal from Olympics from Nagaland, that would be history. And that is very important. One person will lift the image, will lift the spirit of thousands of young children, at least to aspire and to think good. And thinking good is important even if we can't achieve. That is what we look at.
All right, so coming to a very different perspective. The government of India has been very stern as to like we should make our society healthy. So they have brought it to the grassroots level, which is called the Khelo India University Games and the Khelo India Games, and they've even made Khelo India specialty centers. Now, sir, recently our Sports Minister Anurag Thakur had said that the medalists of the Khelo India Games are now eligible for government jobs. Basically, like how an Olympian medalist would come back to the state and get a government job. So, sir, do you think assurances and motivations and rather perks like this would rather boost at least, maybe the athlete won't know it, but at least the caretaker or the parents of the athlete? Do you think that with such move, more athletes from the Northeast can emerge?
I suppose that should be one of the ways that how we could be thinking. Sports in India, people used to say that cricket was the game of affluence, rich people. Today, many young cricketers have come up from the rural background and from the economically backward section of the society. In some way, almost all the sports person in this country maybe very few percent they are from the affluent society who are rich and who can afford. And assuring something which is the source of livelihood is very important. That is why in some way in India, say in Manipur, I think the Arunachal government long time back, they said that if you win a medal, gold medal in national games, our job was secured. But now in Manipur, there are, I think, 500, 600 gold winners now. So government also cannot absorb them. And very recently, the government in Manipur said that you have to win successively 3 times to get a job. So there was a hue and cry. 100 meter I might win today, but after 2 days somebody might win. So you can't be assured of winning 3 times. So that is a kind of a humiliation when politicians fail to understand the value of sports. And winning a sport 3 times consecutively is not possible, because it is at the spur of the moment that you win, and from that hard work. And I think Nagaland, I suppose, we were very happy that Dr. Ao was one of the so-called tall figures of the sports in Nagaland. And very recently, I think a couple of years ago, we had the Northeast Conclave on Sports. I was also one of the resource person there. And then one person was asking me directly, how many football players are there from Manipur? In the Indian calls so many clubs. Before I answered, Bachung Bhutia said, there are about 48 from Manipur. So in some way, a young boy earning about 1 crore a year by playing football, I think it is an assurance that at least he can continue to play with a sense of security. I think this is the feeling, the sense of security that, when I come back home after playing, my family should be taken care of. I think government looking at Khelo India or whatever it is, it should be in the right perspective. And of course, giving some opportunity in different private sector, public sector, even the government department. Well, I think it should be encouraged in Nagaland also. I think this is one way of looking at it.
All right, so now coming back to the state, I mean, you've basically spent half your life dedicated to sports at Manipur. Now, Manipur is known as a powerhouse, or rather a factory of giving sports persons. You look at boxing, you've got imaginable figures. You look at football, you've got imaginable figures. They have always and consistently produced the top sports persons of India. But sir, one aspect that I would like to divulge on is also, sir, Manipur in that way is having such a strong ecosystem of sports. It always starts at the grassroots level. So recently, before the conflict started, there was a competition amongst primary schools in Manipur. And that was how the Manipur Football Association could pick out talents. How much do you think that picking out, or rather improving the grassroots level of selecting and finding athletes is important for a state, or rather any sports based company, or rather if you look at Sweden and all, the kids are going to academies when they are 4 or 5 years old. So do you think that the strengthening of the grassroots level in a sports ecosystem is as equivalent as producing medals?
I remember when my father used to say that the society in Manipur, any festival is incomplete without sports. That is like whether it is a Holi festival, Yauksa, anything among the Manipur is a festival, whether it is sad, happiness. Without sports, that festival is incomplete. I think that kind of an ingrained system that our forefathers, ancestors, maybe because of being a martial race, you have to be physically fit because so many things happen. So that was one way of how we look at it. And till today, even if you look at the Yauksan festival, which is a counterpart of Holi, every locality there's a sport, whether it's for girls or boys, in some way or the other. It indirectly or directly helps into that streamlining of coming out of talents. Because I think when a football coach look at a match in the village, he knows who can be picked up, rather than calling for a trial. So in some way, these are some areas. Even if you look at Nagaland, I think every festival would have been a without a sport, these days, of course, there might have been these sports events might have been minimized, but every tribal community or any community having some sporting event in any festival is a part of our social structure, and from there, streamlining is important. From how our elders or how our coaches can pick up from that, and luckily for Manipur, or very unfortunately, I was once criticized for saying that, you know, the very game that we had in Nagaland for the 3rd Northeast Games. Before this, I have already said that the government should not come out to claim the
triumph.
They have no right. Of course, I was very critically, you know, examined by people. Why do you say that? It is the hard work of the children themselves and the associations. And I said, you should be more embarrassed rather than, you know, holding a press conference that, you know, the government saying we brought so many medals. I can give you one small anecdote. When Mirabai won the medal, you know, unfortunately in the Olympic Games, weightlifting is the first event.
Yes.
Because it starts, and Mirabai was the first to win the medal and opened the tally for India. Even the Prime Minister tweeted, you know, congratulations, and then after Mirabai won the medal, the very next day some journalists landed in Imphal. I was supposed to be their liaison. I took around the stadium, and Vito, let me tell you, the weightlifting training infrastructure in Manipur, it is ancient.
Yes.
It is ancient. We have not improved upon. Therefore, I said the department or the government, they should be updating the training, the equipment. I think Manipur might be having one of the most obsolete equipment today. They have not upgraded. So I said, better not stake a claim of the achievements of our children. Rather, they should focus on investing on the infrastructure, call trainers, and then they can do better. I think this is how we should also understand.
All right, so like we're running out of time, but in the end, I would like to ask you, I didn't want to bring this up, but this should definitely be out for the viewers. Manipur, as you've told and as you've already explained, has been one of the powerhouses of taking out a lot of athletes, people who represent the country, India, and people who gain recognition and fame for our country. But with the recent episode, or rather what is ongoing in Manipur with the ethnic conflict, do you think that this is going to hamper Manipur's developmental programs on sports persons, and especially those youths? We have seen some good lights as to how Sarita Devi's boxing academy took out 2 boxers and several others from various academies that are performing in the 3rd Junior National Championships. So, sir, do you think that this conflict is hampering the progress of a sports person, and also do you believe that this could affect a generation?
Vito, before replying to that, I came on the 13th of March. The tournament was supposed to start on 18th, opening ceremony on 19th. I came. When I saw the volunteers in Dimapur to receive the children from different parts of the states, the village authorities, the women folk, every single person in and around Dimapur, Chumukidima, the young volunteers, could you imagine? I saw them at the railway station at 1 o'clock at night to receive people coming. And I could see those beautiful, good-looking girls and boys in that, you know, beautiful, charming uniforms in the railway station at midnight. And that was a spirit that encouraged me. You know, the kind of voluntarism, the kind of, I mean, you say that Nagaland is a state of festival. It might be it might be a hyperbole, but Nagaland is not a state of festival, but Nagaland is the true spirit of what you call as hospitality. You know, the people are so welcoming. And I told my boys and girls that you look at how your colleagues are working at night to make you happy. Don't complain about small things. You know, you should appreciate the effort. And when you look at the spirit of young boys and girls in Nagaland, working hard to ensure that all the visitors are happy. Everyone who was here should go back as an ambassador of Nagaland, how the system of volunteers, you know, when we have forgotten the word called volunteer in our society. The system of volunteers, the system of who come openly to serve, that is being openly seen as a witness. And when I came here on 13th, 14th, 15th, and 16th, I closed my eyes and I said, the very event in Dimapur for the third Northeast Games, it is just not an event, it is an assurance to the people of Manipur also, that even during the most difficult times, good things can happen. And this event is a blessing in disguise for us in Manipur. Very, very emotional that I was when I saw the children coming around playing. There was a diversion in Manipur for other things which is not appreciated. Now, with that event, which was only for a few days, but the whole focus, you know, in fact, we had a terrible time. We had a very difficult time in the trial of these 15 disciplines in Manipur.
Yes.
Even during these most difficult times, we could bring our children and feel happy. And when they go back home, they can see the normalcy, they can see the happiness. And I would always say that this particular event was unlike the first we started in Manipur or the second in Meghalaya. But this Nagaland event is something very historic for us, at least, to convey a message that young people can meet, people can compete under the spirit of the games. And coming back to your original question, yes, the present crisis has not only affected, but it has damaged. You know, when you say affected, it is simply affected. But what I'm saying is, as I always say, the cut is very deep. The wound is very deep. It will take its own time to heal. It will take its own time to heal. However, this is one of the most unfortunate things that has happened in our lifetime.
Yes.
In our lifetime, and it has badly affected. It was going from bad to worst, and the last 10 months, I kept driving up and down from Imphal to Kohima. I would have brought my children a couple of buses, but now all the children had to come by a flight from Dibrugarh, take a train from Guwahati.
Yes.
I think that is the feeling that we all have. Yes, this has affected in true spirit of sports and also in normal lives, whether it's education, whether it's social structure, economy, it has affected. And there is no denial, nobody can deny the fact that, you know, it is normal. You can't claim that it is normal. If politicians are claiming that normalcy has come back, I think he's the first liar. I would say. I mean, it's not normal.
Right.
We have to admit that.
All right, sir. I think time's run out, but thank you so much, Sir Ibungo, for joining us on Hornbill TV and shedding your light on the basic sports infrastructure and also basically about your own inception, or rather your idea of the Northeast Games that was held in Nagaland. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
So that was Mr. Ibungo, who was here on Hornbill TV, and he expressed his views on the sports infrastructure of Northeast. Well, one thing that he has claimed very rightly is that sport should be for health, and all our children in the Northeast should be healthy. When they have a healthy lifestyle, they have a healthy mind, and they can contribute further to the society. Also, speaking on the Manipur conflict, Sir has also claimed that this wound was the deepest and it will take its own time. But he is fortunate enough to have actually brought his Manipur team that won the first place in the third edition of the Northeast Games and has claimed the #1 position, and he is very happy that that could happen. He has also said that infrastructure in sports especially should be developed and that politicians should understand a sports person's point of view. Well, for more interviews and talks like this, keep watching Hornbill TV. I'll see you again. Goodbye.